Okay, let us pray. Dear God, we thank you that today we can come again to study about you and your words. We pray that you will give us the understanding, the wisdom to digest everything we learn and select the best for our people, for your church. I lift up all students before you. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Okay. Let's see, where are we? Chapter 2. Okay, the first class will be about the pastoral ministry. And today we're going to study about chapter 2. It's more about what pastor is going to do mainly. And the second part will be about how the pastor survive. Compensation, talking about salary and what the church support the pastor and how all the support come from. And why we talk about that, a lot of time we say that pastor live by faith. That's true. But the family need to survive. So we cannot ignore the pastor family, how he going to take care of his family. That's something a lot of time in the past we don't talk about it. But even the Old Testament, God talk about how to support the priest and how the priest going to survive, where all the support will come from. The Bible very clearly mentioned about that. But modern day churches, we try to ignore that and just say that by faith alone. But tonight we're going to talk something about how to make things work. If you want the ministry to go on and all the staff to survive and do a good job, we need to talk about their job and how to support them mentally, spiritually, and financially. All side. Yes, Jesus said that man cannot live by bread alone, but by the words of God. That's the main job of the pastor. Now we talk about what he do. Why we need a pastor? Well, that's what Jesus assigned. The word Jesus say, "I am the good shepherd," and the shepherd feed the flock, protect the flock, and guide and lead them all the way through. So the main job of the pastor is to help believer to learn how to live life according to Jesus' teaching, or in short words, might say that how to copy Jesus' model. We cannot see Jesus today directly, but all the people still need to see someone. So they model the pastor or the leader as the model of Jesus. How they're going to learn from the pastor. And all the pastors learn that Jesus gives us a big responsibility to disciple his follower in this world. And that is a job that God or Jesus put on the shepherd or the pastor. Now, we can talk a lot about what the pastor do. And here we emphasize that it's the job that try to make Christ-likeness amongst all believers. And that's the whole thing that we try to do. We try to conform to the image of his son, of Jesus. Now, this is a big job. And for sure, the pastor cannot do all this thing by himself. He can just do part of it. And the expectation from the people or from the church might be so big, so great, so high, and make the job more difficult because of expectation. I mentioned sometime early on in our course that about 100 students who graduate from seminary supposed to be pastor or church leader. But after 10 years, about 90% of them quit church or ministry. Just about 10% survive after 10 years. So why the percentage is so high of the people who quit? Or you might say there are all kinds of reasons why people quit. And we can entertain some of the reasons that you think that is the main reason that you believe. Well, our job keep losing people, but our job will have replacement real quick because new people will come in to replace the one who quit. But the pastor job is not easy to fill up. It's not just to train a new replacement. It's more than that. It's about God calling, and it's all about commitment. This is not just a job. So how we can help to keep more pastors in their work and help them to survive all the difficult years. And later on, we will talk more. It's not just the pastor, but his family too. And if you talk to a lot of pastors who quit, the main reason also come from his wife and children. The pressure from the church or from outside is already so much, but when the family not supporting it done, they cannot go on anymore. So you see that the problem from outside and the problem from inside that make it difficult. Now, I don't talk just about pastor, but this course will mainly talk about all staff of the church, the people who serve and work in all kind of ministry relationship with the church, with the convention, any job that relate to the ministry. Now we talk about some main thing that the pastor try to do with the people. We talk about progressive sanctification, spiritual growth, personal holiness, fruit of the Spirit. It's all the process of transformation of a person who believe in Jesus. To be like Jesus, you have to help them go through the process. We talk about sanctification, mean that they start changing their life from the regular people who enjoy all things in this world. They stop all those things, stop those activities, and change themselves to enjoy something else. Now they enjoy reading Bible, pray to God, spend time worshiping, and associate with people, talking about the words of God, talking about Jesus, instead of talking about sport or fun stuff. And they care more about how to praise God and talk about all the fruit of the Holy Spirit. That means joy, happiness, faithfulness, self-control. Talk about all the gift of the Spirit. This is the fruit of the Spirit or the new life. And later on, they will talk about all the gift that the Holy Spirit can give them to serve. And this is how to change the people life in the way that Jesus wants all of us to be. Now it's going to take the whole life of a person to change, to transform. And You can meet a person on different time of their life after they became a believer. 1 year, 5 year, 10 year, 20 year. What you expect? Well, you expect that they're getting better. But Paul will say that some of us are baby. What that mean? Mean that we're not growing spiritually. And that is how we going to help those people. Some people need more help and need more work. It's not the same speed that everyone can grow as a group. And now you talk about personal need of some people and the need of the church as a whole. And that is something that you as a leader have to think all the time. And from the words of God from Matthew 14, Mark 1, and Luke 5, 6, 11, John 4, 6, talk about the life of believer that Jesus hoped they will have. Prayerful, dependent on God the Father. Submit to the will of God. And that's the goal that you or the leader expect and hope from all your people. And now we come to the prayer of Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane, the last day that he lived on this world. He had to choose between his own will or the will of God the Father. And Jesus said, not mine, but your will be done. And this is the whole thing summed up. You are as the leader of the church. Your goal is not your will, but the will of God be done. And you're going to share that with your people. The group that you're serving, the group that you're leading. How could they come to this point that not my will, but your will be done? And we can entertain about this passage. After 10, 20, 30 years of your Christian life, or you serving God this long, can you say that now, not my will, but your will be done? It's difficult. But this is the whole goal. Everyone hope we can come to this point. Now, as a pastor or church leader or a staff, we have a big responsibility. And here is another example from John 13, the last night that Jesus washed the feet of his people. It showed the humility that you take good care of the one you are serving, not as master, but as servant. So we come to the word that servant leadership. You are leader, but in the same time you are servant. How could that two things go hand in hand? You are servant leader. Mean that even you are the leader, you still that servant. And that is complicated. Now you look at the model of parents, mom and dad. You are mom and dad, but in the same time you serve your kid. Why? Because you love them. And you know that they cannot help themselves. So you serve them. Even you are their parents. Until what? Until they're old enough to help themselves. So this is a model of pastor, minister, and church worker or the staff in any ministry. So this is all. And two other things that the Bible emphasizes, in order to be fulfilled what you try to do, the words that the Bible uses a lot is compassion, empathy. This is the expression of the word love in the Bible. Agape, the love of God, is the compassion and empathy. It's different from all kind of love in this world. People in this world always say, I love you, or I love this, I love that. But that is not compassion or empathy. It's just that feeling towards something that they're longing for. It's what they want, what they like. But compassion is the sharing of suffering, the sharing of whatever you have to help people who suffer. And empathy means that you can feel their pain. You suffer with them. So it's different from what people say in this world that I love you, I love that thing. It just means that it makes them feel good or make them feel something special. But here, Leo, love that you as a shepherd or leader need to share with the people mean that you suffer with them, you feel their pain, and you care for them. And this is what Jesus put on us. And he wants us to teach and to help all the people to have this quality too. Well, some of you might say that, no, we cannot. Only God can do that. Only the Holy Spirit can do that. Yes, you're right. But in the same time, we need to help them to be ready to get help from God. It's very interesting to see that if God is the one who gives them all these things, why they need to do anything? Well, they still need to be ready to accept, to be part of the plan. They can refuse, they can say no, they don't want it. And then God not going to force on them. They need to be ready to accept those gifts, to accept that help from God. And this is your job as a leader, as a pastor, or as a minister, as a shepherd. How you prepare your people. So we sum up that your job as a leader of the church, minister, is the ministry of right transformation. You try to help the people to change their life to be like Jesus more and more every day or all the time. Well, some people say that I go back and forth. This year I look very good, but last year I feel very bad. And if you look back to your many years of being a believer, you might say that I go back and forth many times. And look like I never go forward too much because I go back a lot. Well, at least we still trying, we still working on. So the good point is, as long as you don't give up, you still keep working on, I think we are okay. Because we still have the whole life to keep working on. But the one who give up is the one who already defeat the purpose. But it doesn't matter how far you go up or go back. But as long as you don't give up, you're still working on, you're still toiling on, you still hang on in there. By the grace of God, I think we all still okay. Okay, this is another point we're going to come back and talk more. Now we go to the main point here is the role of the pastor, the education of the pastor, the duty or responsibility and all the challenge. We can go on one, but it's a lot. Now, let's go to touch some of them here. Well, as I say that if you support to work in a big church, you might just have a small part to run the church or to do something because you have a lot of help. But most of us going to end up in a small church. And it means that you might be only staff. And you might be the only one who have to do every single thing. You might get some help from volunteer, but in the end of the day, you're still the one who responsible for everything. You have to make sure that everything have been done, everything have been correct, the best you can. So this is modern day churches. But if you go back to the New Testament churches, no, the pastor did not do everything, or the leader don't do everything. You go to the book of Acts, it clearly divide. The apostle do the spiritual need of the church, mean that the pastor or the elder do the preaching, teaching, counseling. But the deacon or the leader in the church who are volunteer, they do all the business of the church. They feed the people, they're visiting the people, they help the poor, they help the sick, and they help people who have physical need. This is the job of the deacon, physical need, or to run the manage the church. And that they divide into department, spiritual department and physical department. But today you find out that the pastor, the minister, or you as the leader, you have to do everything. Or at least you run everything, or you oversee everything. Why? Because a lot of churches are small, and you don't have enough people. Or people come and go, or people don't want to take responsibility. Or someone that you put on don't really do a good job. So you as a leader, you always have to come in, step in, and do a lot of things. But still your goal still try to train more people to do the job or to take responsibility for the body of Christ. But your job will never done. Administration, oversee staff, volunteer, managing church finance, ensuring the smooth operation of church activity, or everything about spiritual need, know how to organize group, and responsibility community engagement, represent the church in the community and in other interfaith activity, or you can name it. You are the leader or as the pastor, you are in there. Now we talk a little bit about education. A lot of denominations demand that the pastor need to be at least finish college, bachelor degree, and continue at seminary with a master degree in divinity. Not just any master, but need to be master in divinity because this program is designed for pastor specifically. And this program demands about 90 unit credit after bachelor degree. In the regular master degree, it just demands about 30 or 40. But the Master of Divinity demands 90, plus Greek and Hebrew language. So it will normally come out 100 after bachelor degree, nothing. Or master degree in other field in business, or other field within man, you allow 40 after bachelor. But Master of Divinity within man, you 90 after bachelor. Why they demand so much? Because you need to learn a lot. Besides Bible, you need to learn about counseling, management, and all kind of things to handle all the responsibility that modern day churches demand. I am not intent to scare you off, but this is reality in modern day churches. And it's good to know more so you can handle a lot of things. But some people say that I don't need to know a lot. I just need to know a little bit so I can do something. Well, it depends on what God called you. I believe that if God called you, you can do something for sure. Okay. Here, in many studies say that burnout is the common reason that pastor quit. When we talk about burnout, it means that you have a lot of things to do and you feel that you never can finish it. And you feel depressed, you feel pressure, you feel stressed all the time. After a certain years, everything correct. They call burnout. It's not just you tired, because when you're tired, you take a rest for a few hours, a few days, you feel better. But burnout, even you take vacation, it still won't go away because it's already burned out. It's not just a little bit straight now. It's completely burned. So don't wait until you go to that point. When you feel stressful, when you feel tired, take a break. A short break, a short vacation will help. Don't wait until it's too late. Or think that, oh, I want to have a long vacation. They find out that short vacation and often better than long vacation in a long time. So if you can have a few day vacation every few months, it's better than have 4-week vacation after 1 year. That will help you refresh and help you to come back better that way. Okay, this is one of the main reasons that they found in many studies. And if you try to come back again, what is the pastor? Well, you can look at from biblical perspective, or you can look at from business administration perspective, because modern day churches, they compare as a big business. And a pastor can be called as CEO, Chief Executive Officer. But the word pastor in English comes from Latin word shepherd, or the one who taking care of sheep, like what Jesus said, I am a good shepherd. That is what Jesus called himself. But the English words used pastor. In fact, we believe that Martin Luther is the first one who used the word pastor instead of shepherd. But in German, but he the first leader of the Reformation, modern day Protestant. So a lot of people adopt the word pastor from the German words and translate into English, that we call the leader of the church now pastor. But the Bible used the word shepherd more. But today we want to use pastor because when you say shepherd, people always think that you're taking care of the little sheep. But the word pastor, they don't know much, so you can explain later. But the official words in most countries, they don't call pastor anyway. They call minister. And a lot of people say, oh, if you call minister, it's like you are the government worker. You represent some kind of government department. Well, you're correct. In the old day, all those ministers are pastors, and who they also run the government too. They are the same group of people. Since the Reformation, all the pastors run the country too, with the king or with the leader of the country. And they all pastor, they are called all minister. This is why they call Minister of Interior, Minister of International, Minister of Commerce. They are real pastors who run the country for the government, with the government in the past. Now you see the pastor or minister in the past so powerful. Yes. So the word minister stick with English and American, they call minister. But American now changed to secretary. But in the English, in England, still use the word minister. And it really come from the word pastor or leader of the church. So it means that the minister, the pastor, the shepherd have a lot of responsibility to our history. Now we sum up in short. Spiritual leadership, disciple and mentoring, preaching, teaching, mission, evangelism. What the difference between all these things? This is more of advising, personal advising people. And discipleship mentoring, it can be more smaller than that, mean that you take one-on-one, help someone to grow, or help someone to branch out, or can do more things that you have someone who have special gift, you want to mentoring them personally. So that can be as one person, a small group, or big group. And this is beside preaching, teaching, because when we talk about preaching, teaching, you mean the whole church. You preach to the whole church, and you teach a Bible class for the whole church. But when you talk about discipleship, mentoring is small group or even personal now. Mission evangelism. You might go on mission field once a year for a week, or you might support, or you might do something beside your regular work. This is always on top. Extra. A special thing that the church or the leader, you lead them to do certain thing once a year or once a quarter or something. Pastoral care, it mainly means about counseling to people who need special help or have special problem. It can be a family problem, marriage problem, personal problem, or anything. So pastoral care is more about give advice and help them make decisions on the Christian way, according to what God wants them to do. So this is about personal or family. Prayer and intercession. Okay, this is about people who have special need, who have special problem, and you spend more time to pray for them and guide them. Community engagement means that you lead the church to go out to work with other people outside the church. Conducting worship service, and this is part of the main thing because worship service is the heart of the church. People all come and worship God, and you need to make it the most important thing in your church every week, because everyone come, everyone spend all their time together, and God is there. So this is the main thing. Administration, it means about all things about business of the church, and how you relate with the government, with bank, with society, or business thing, money, all things. And teaching and equipping, it besides Bible teaching, you also training other leaders. You also help other position. Like what I'm doing, it means that you teach in seminary or train more leader outside your church or in organization. This is another job that after many years of pastoring, you have a lot of experience or a lot of education. You will do this job too. And this is on top of regular job at your church. Okay, so far, I want to stop a little bit, come back for your question and reflection. It's already a lot. I don't know if it overwhelmed you or not. Any one of you who thinking of being a pastor might already give up.
It's so much, Ajahn. So much.
That's why 90% quit.
So much, and no. For someone like us, I mean, someone like me, probably not looking to be a pastor, I would think. Probably it's just, who knows? Maybe in a very tiny group or something.
Believe me that nobody can do all these things, only by the grace of God. It's beyond any human being. you know that without the grace of God, without the support or help of God, I think 100% of pastors quit.
It's a
But
hard job. It seems to me that the job that it's a kind of job that is have to be humble, have to be prideless, to be the instrument of God. And in a human nature, when you're humble, you don't have a power of influence, don't have an authority kind of thing.
yes, you see the point that a lot of opposite thing happening.
It's opposite from the word. If the word you are a leader in the word, you're prideful, you order people doing things around instead of begging them and ask for from their kindness perspective.
Well, this is all the miracle happen.
Wow.
Okay,
Another
Nathan,
thought.
you have something to put in?
Sorry.
I have questions.
Okay.
Well, question and one maybe a comment. I know one big American church, the pastor, he's everywhere. He oversees everything. The way I see, maybe it's a little bit too much for him. Like to me, maybe like for financial situation, maybe he might not, he doesn't have to be involved. But seems like he's like he have to make decision on every area. So I don't know if it's good for him or not. And the second one is Jenny said that a lot of people, a lot of pastors that quit within 5 years, 10 years. Do you know exactly mainly what's the problem? It's just because financial issues, or just because they just find out that there's a lot of it take a lot of toll of themselves, or just maybe like I'm not called to be pastor or something.
You can name any problem. They have all kind of problem. But it sum up that most of them quit because of burnout, plus the family don't support them anymore. It mostly from inside. You don't mention about the pressure from outside, from the church. It's everywhere all the time. But they can hold on as long as their family still support them and they themselves don't burn out. But when they themselves burn out and the whole family don't support them, mean that their wives, their children don't support them anymore. That means no, they cannot stand anymore. And now I say the miracle is the 10% survive. Believe me, it's by the grace of God. Without God step in to save some, none of the pastor will survive. Believe me.
Survived by the little string, huh?
By the grace of God only.
By the grace of God.
I look back at my 45 year as pastor. I see that without God step in, I might not survive this long.
It's a hard task.
Yeah. You can ask Kong Sai. He survived this long too.
You're right, John. It's by the grace of God. Yeah. Somebody would say be burned out for a while, but quite some time already. But hey, you just do what God called you to do. Just do the best you could. That's all you can do. And you know, it's God.
Yeah, Nathan.
John, this last week I was reading in the news that it says that a lot of the famous Christian ministers, pastors, quit being pastor because they have extramarital affair. So that's a lot.
A lot.
I think a lot whoever become pastor, we have to be very careful about that. It's a really big problem.
Well, people always sum up. There are three big temptations for the pastor. First is money.
Mhm.
Second is fame. Third
Fame.
is fame. Mean
Fame.
that famous,
Yeah.
popularity. The third thing is sex. Why? Because this thing come to the pastor themselves. The pastor don't need to go out and look for it. They all come to the pastor. And all the temptation come to him every day. Yeah, Nathan.
I have one story from a 1 million pastor.
Hmm.
He just became pastor maybe about, I don't know, maybe about 3-4 years later. One church member called him, tried to seduce him, but he recognized that person's voice. So, and he kind of, I chose so and so, no, and she just hang up. So yeah.
You know, I read the autobiography of Billy Graham. Billy Graham said that wherever he go, he need to have one male assistant stay in his bedroom with him every hotel that he go to preach. He say why? Some women try to sneak into his bedroom every night, everywhere. So he need to have one staff, male staff, stand by in his bedroom everywhere he go to be a witness.
So that way he doesn't accuse of being accused.
Yeah, people were accusing him, so they will have a witness. Unbelievable, but the truth. So you have any suggestion? Now the people ask that, Nathan.
I think, John, I think for when we talk about temptation, I think for somebody, a pastor that goes somewhere, maybe it's good for him to have a good, maybe like good friend, a good buddy that go with him, like you said, you know. So he would not. If you have somebody with you, then that would be harder for you to be tempted because somebody is with you, you know.
Yeah, you're right. That to protect yourself from enemy and from yourself too. How you understand when they say from yourself?
From yourself.
Yeah.
Yourself have a need.
Yeah, we have a need. We have a weak
As a man, you have a need, sexual need.
Yeah. And we all have weak points. So when you have someone to make you accountability, so that don't put yourself in that situation.
Can I say something, Ajahn?
Yes.
So I think depend on the person, what they're thinking and what they have practiced on their mind. And if we understand and we do not practice and we do not thinking the way we're not supposed to, and that could be pass the test for the temptation. So a lot of people they will have it. They have, you know, in their mind, they've been practiced. That's why easy to get into it.
Yeah, you know that psychologically, there's belief that there are only 10% of people who born in this world don't have sexual desire at all. 10%. And those 10% can be a good priest, good monks, good nun, because they don't have sexual desire at all. 10%. But in that 10%, they say most of them are women. Up to 80% of that 10% are women. So out of the 10 people, 8 are the women. So men are only 2 who born without any sexual desire. They can make a good monks, good priest. The rest, 90% of us have desire.
Well, that's why pastor should be married, and the wife should be the one who go with him everywhere he go, just to make sure that temptation being fulfilled.
Mhm.
So don't. Is that a good answer, John?
Well, that's the best option we have so far.
Sorry.
Yeah, the best option.
John, what
Yes.
about the disciple like Paul and those disciples that don't have wives?
You know
Do
that,
they also tempted during the time?
you know that Paul say, I have the gift. In the book of 1 Corinthians, Paul said that every man should get married unless you have gift like me. Paul have a gift. He doesn't need to get married. So when he say that gift means that he doesn't have any sexual desire. And Jesus also mentioned about that. Jesus says someone born like a eunuch, but someone make themselves eunuch in the sense that sexual desire.
John,
Yes.
can it be that somebody can make themselves unique? Because even though you might cut it off, but you cannot cut it off what is in here. The sin is in here, not down there. That's where the thinking is.
Well, it depends. You know that we are learning from our experience, and the desire comes, scientific belief that from hormone. If you cut all the hormone out, the desire gone too. But if you are very old and used to some lifestyle, even the hormone again will take away, the desire might be still be there. But you can perform or not, it depends on the hormone. They believe that the desire, the feeling come from the hormone, and it's male hormone. This is why today they do castration by chemical castration, mean that they take the testosterone out of you. And the sexual desire disappear too. And in the old day, when they castrate a young boy to make him unique, they cut out the testicle, and all the desire gone too.
John,
Yes.
when I remember in the old day in our country, a lot of older people that they have a horse, and in order to make the horse obey and working good, so they have to cut off the horse testicle to make
Yes.
him listen, and when he see female, he don't jump everywhere.
Mm.
Yeah, I think maybe that kind of desire also cut off because the body no longer think about it. I mean, no longer have that feeling.
They still practice on the animal, the pig, the ox, the sheep, all kind of animal. They castrate, mean that they cut the testicle of the baby animal, male animal, since they're young. And they grew up almost like female. And people practice that even today.
Ajahn, how
Yes.
about today that suppose like the men don't want to have a baby anymore, they go to the doctor and they didn't cut it off, but they clip it. Is that the same thing?
No, it's not the same thing. Today, the male that the doctor cut the tube that carry the sperm, so the testicle still work. It's just the sperm cannot go out.
Still have the same desire, everything?
Yep, they still have the same desire, everything, because the testicle still there producing testosterone.
Where does it go? It have to go somewhere, right?
It's absorbed by the body itself.
Oh. Okay.
So it's different thing.
So it's not like a become unique.
No. It's like birth control, that's all.
Yeah, that's all.
Yeah.
If we do that, is that wrong?
Well, let the Bible answer. The people from the old time know how to do birth control. Do you believe that?
Yeah.
Yeah, people practice birth control since the Old Testament time.
But they controlled by the nature, though.
Yeah, the
Not
natural way.
by
The
by the knowledge, but not by the knowledge.
Yeah, by observing. They know that what day is safe or not safe. They count the day as we do today. In the old time, they already know how to count safe day or not safe day. And later on, they know how to stop before they eject.
But that's a sin, right? Just like what his name?
Onan.
Onam.
But the thing that God killed him not because he had birth control, but he cheating on his sister-in-law.
God
You know,
killed him, right?
yeah, because you need to know why God killed him. Not because he use birth control, but because he cheating. You understand when I say he cheating?
How did he cheating? He doesn't want to have a children,
So don't marry her.
but custom it require him to marry her.
Well, if you marry her, you're supposed to give her baby. So this is why we call cheating. The whole goal is for him to marry his sister-in-law, so his brother will keep the name from the new baby that's born. So when he decided to marry her, mean that he agreed, but he did not agree. But he took her as another wife, that's all. But don't want to fulfill his job to his brother. So that we call cheating. So we believe that God killed him because he cheated everyone. But people in the old day know how to do the natural way of birth control. And you believe that even 2,000-3,000 years ago, people know how to use condom. The Greek used it. How they make it? They use the intestine of lamb or sheep or goat as condom. People so smart.
Ajahn, how do they sterilize them?
Oh, they don't care. Today we worry about germ, but in those days they don't. And you ask me that because they not care much about the cleanliness, they get all kind of sexual disease since 2,000-3,000 years ago. The VD or venereal disease is even 2,000-3,000 years ago. Okay, I'm supposed to give you a break. So you get a short break and come back, okay? Well, now we talk more about the law of the pastor, how he guide, how he lead his people to get closer to God and to be the model that Jesus want. But how he do it, the Bible sum up in one verse, to give a good model. Mean that you set up a good example. So some of that way easy, but in order to do it, it's difficult. How you set a good example for people to follow you, it's very difficult. So some pastors say that maybe you just reflect Jesus. You yourself cannot be a good model. Only Jesus is the perfect model. But still people cannot see Jesus. People can see the pastor. So at least the pastor need to reflect Jesus for people to see. So it's a difficult job, but that's what people expect from you. Now we talk about education. We already mentioned a little bit that a lot of denominations demand a lot of education, training, experience, but it's still just the human side. I still believe that the main important thing is God called you or not. If you have all the whole world of education and God did not use you, it's waste of time. Now go back to another statistic. You know that a lot of students go to seminary. And out of 100 students who went to seminary, less than half will graduate. Mean that 50 will drop out in those years. Only half will graduate. And in that half that graduate, how many really serve God as pastor minister, or less than 10%? A few percentage. What the rest of the graduate do? They do everything else except being a pastor. Because in seminary, you learn more than Bible. You learn education, you learn psychology, you learn sociology, you learn a lot of things. So a lot of them, after they graduate from seminary, is the graduate school. You can be teacher, you can do business, you can do many counseling, and very few want to end up as a pastor. So seminary try to give more scholarship, for more new students will come, and still a lot who graduate will never serve in any church. So that's a sad thing, but at least it's a good investment. At least they know Bible. Even they don't serve as pastor, they might come to church to help in other things. So at least it's still a good investment for the seminary. But as I always say, that education is just one thing, training is another thing. But beside that, God called you to do that work or not, that still count with everything. If God called you, God guide you, God provide for you, and God protect you. But if God did not call you to do that work, you won't survive. You won't survive because it's beyond human being to survive all those difficult work or that situation. It's beyond human being ability to survive. So this is something that education will help because you know your job, you know what to do, you know what to teach. That's a good thing to start with. But I always remind students and people that find out God call you to do this work or not. If not, you still can do many other things at church, but maybe not as a pastor. And there is some advice here for all of you. It's not just for sermon, but for all kind of serving at church. It means that you will start with prayer all the time to find out what God has for you and what God guide you. Read the Bible. Research the background of Scripture. Interpret the Scripture. Make a reflection. They emphasize about sermon or preaching because this is your main job. You cannot be a pastor without a good preaching or teaching. You cannot survive long. Most churches expect their pastor to be a good teacher and a good preacher. If you hate preaching, you don't like teaching, I think you should do something else. Because the main job of the pastor is preaching and teaching. You can do some counseling, you can do some other music, you can do other outreach or many other things. But your still main job still teaching and preaching. So this is more than a skill. It's more than the knowledge. You need to have the gift of teaching and preaching too. Now I heard a lot of people complain that the pastor is so boring, his preaching is nonsense or too long or that's not interesting or his teaching is not really up to date or not really useful. Well, it depends. If you're faithful to the words of God, at least God will protect you. But if you're not faithful to the words of God, you just talk nonsense of everything else, that's your problem. But still, a lot of pastors who make fun a lot and talk funny things, and people seem to like the pastor that joking around a lot. Well, but that's still, if you don't preach the words of God, you're just joking around, make fun of everything, you can end up as a comedian better than a pastor. But it's nothing wrong to be funny or to talk some funny stuff in your sermon or your teaching. It's good, it can help. But your job is not a comedian. A lot of modern day people go to church because they want to get entertained. And the church become entertainment center, not worship center. How do you think about that? That's a good thing that we can discuss more. Should a church become an entertainment center or worship center? Because a lot of young people today, even old, come to church expect to be entertained. Good music, good singing, good story, good joke, good comedian, good show, good food. They expect entertainment. They don't expect enlightenment from God. So that is not a church. That is not a worship service. And that is not a job of a pastor. We are not there to entertain people. We're there to convict people with the words of God, with the power of God, to honor God. So we always have to rethink that why we're there, what we're doing. A lot of pastors say that we try to do everything to make people come back. Well, to come back to what? To worship God or to get more entertaining? So this is your main thing. You need to know what you're doing and why you do it. Now, this is another big thing in American culture. We need to get involved in community because the church can function very well because the church become part of the community. And whatever happened in community, the church get involved. But how, when, where, we have a role. because God put us there. But today it seems to be that we need to be careful. We cannot do everything that the community expects us to do. Because we have our faith, we have our belief, we have our theology that stand firm. Community can change all the time, but the church cannot change our teaching. We stand on the words of God forever. Now, here sum up one more time about what a pastor or leader of the church, what the denomination or the church expect from us. You do the baptism ceremony, you do the Lord's Supper or communion, you do the wedding, the funeral, you anointed of the sick, mean that you visit the sick people, you encourage them, licensing the new leader in church. You ordain new pastor. Is it your leadership? You find out the one who qualify, the one who have training can be licensed to be leader. You blessing mean that a lot of things that the people need you to help to get the blessing from God. Renewal of vow, when the couple want to do that. And here they want you to come to really think about another job that a lot of pastors don't have time to do because he's so busy with a lot of things else. Personal counseling. It means that the pastor spend time with one person or a couple or a family who suffer, who have problems. And this can consume a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of energy. But it's still worth doing it because this can save a family, save a person, life, career, and their faith. And it can help the person to go very deep in relationship with that person. But in the same time, you need to know what you're doing. Mean that you need to have the training. You need to know all the theology to support what you try to do. So in the same way to say that you have education, you have training, and you have enough experience to do a lot of things. So you can start slow and do what you can do. Don't try to do everything that you don't know or that you're not sure. I have met a lot of young pastors who try to do counseling to a lot of married couple who are a lot older than the pastor. And it doesn't come out very well because the young pastor don't have experience. Even he have some knowledge, but he doesn't have enough experience to deal with old couple who have different kind of problem or expect something else from the young pastor. But as a young pastor, he still can give advice from the Bible. And he can show understanding, show respect. So you just need to know yourself what you can do and what beyond you. And people will respect you if you show that you're humble enough. You just try to help. And you just try to do what you can do. Not everything. And the last part we'll talk about other job of the church. The church, if the church try to do many other things, and the pastor have to decide that can we handle them? And if you have more help or volunteer, you can try. Don't try to stop the people who want to serve or try to do something. At least help them to start and let them try to find out that what God wants to use them and use that thing to support the church or not. Don't stop anyone who try to serve or try to help. At least let them try. Encourage them to do what God called them to do. It might not be successful, it might not work out, but it's okay. At least you give them a chance and show them that you support them. And that means so much. So it's another good thing for you as a young pastor is don't look at the final result that, well, it's worth it or not, or it's going to be successful or not. No, don't look that far. Just look at the people's heart. They want to serve. They want to try. And they want a little support from you. So show them that you care, you support them, even you think that it's not going to work. Don't stop them. But encourage them, show that you care, you support, even them they fail. They still appreciate what you try to help them. And they learn in the process. So this can help you that you show support to all of them. You want to help them. Even you don't agree with everything they do. Now, this is a good point. We're going to talk more later on that as a leader or as a pastor, even you see that what they try to do not going to be successful, should you support them? Should you give them a try? Or you might think that it's waste of time, waste of money. Don't do it. Okay, we're going to talk about that point. We're going to point that out. And another point here, I want to cover this first before I come to you is how the pastor get support. Well, it depends on denomination. Many big denominations, the convention are old and they have a lot of money. They have a lot of investment for the past 200, 300, 500, 600, even 1,000 years. They have a lot of treasure. They can support the church, the ministry forever. Even nobody give a damn to the church, they still survive very well. Like the Roman Catholic Church, they own half of Europe, maybe. So they can lend out, they can sell their land, and they can survive forever. Even nobody give them a donation or anything. And some big denominations in America, like the Congregation, the Presbyterian, the Lutheran, or many other big denominations, they also have a lot of money, land, property, investment, that they can pay all the local pastors from their central organization. So they don't need to worry about the member donate or not. They support all their pastors from their central treasure. So this is how the pastor get in their support. But at the same time, the central organization control all the local church, control all the pastors. They hire, they fire, they promote, they move, they change everything according to the center organization, leadership one. But now you look at evangelical. Evangelical means all the Baptists, the CMA, OMF, or the local church that independent. They self-support mostly. Mean that the National Convention don't give them money. They need to raise their own support. They need to find their own money to support their own pastor and their staff. The convention might give them some advice or a little bit help, but that's all. So in America, we have a lot of churches who survive by themselves. And that is not easy. A lot of the churches will die every year because they don't have enough support locally. But the cycle of churches in America is so uniquely different from the rest of the world. One die, another one pop up. It's always that way. Every year, we believe that about 500 churches die in America, at least. Some year maybe up to 1,000, but new church born to replace those dead church so fast. But in the past 20 years, the new birth is not keep up with the dead one. Mean that we have less church every year now, and less people who go to church in America every year now. So it's like the birth rate cannot keep up with the death rate for churches in America in the past 20 years. So the support for the local pastor is getting worse. The church gets smaller and less. So the pastor gets less and less support. So the consequence is we have less people who want to serve and less people who want to work in church. Now, the church can find another way, mean that the church can sell their land, sell their property, or reuse that property beside at a church. They can use it at preschool or lend it out as private school, Christian school to make more money. And a lot of churches doing that now. Or let some other group share their facility so they have more income to survive and to pay their staff. Because a lot of churches in America are independent and they don't get support from the big convention. So now another thing that we can talk is a lot of pastors in the future need to be what we call bivocational pastor, meaning that you are going to do two jobs. You pastor a church and you also work outside the church in some other job. And that's tough, but a lot of pastors in the future have to be bivocational, mean two jobs. You might work 3 days a week for the church or 4 days a week for the church, 3-4 days for other job. Or you might work 5 days full-time for other job and work just 2 days for the church. In the future, a lot of churches going to be that way, especially all the small churches, because the church cannot fully support their pastor or their team anymore. So the pastor and all the teamwork at the church need to be bivocational, means they have two jobs. Or the beautiful way to call it tent maker. Paul used that word 2,000 years ago. Paul make tent to make money at nighttime. In the daytime or some other time, he preached, he teach, and he help his students get training of making tent to support themselves. So they can travel, they can do anything they like, they not stick with one church. And the church wants to support them, good. If not, they support themselves by tent making. So today, we call a lot of these pastors are tent makers. They have another job to raise fund. And they serve when they have time. So Paul do that 2,000 years ago. So this is nothing new. And it looked like that it worked very well with Paul and his students. They're all tent makers. It's different from another group of Jesus' disciples like Peter, John, James. All those are full-time leaders that the church fully support. But Paul and his team is a new model of tent maker. Okay, we come up to talk more about the pressure that the pastor facing. Emotional, mental, mean that from all the responsibility at church, people expect a lot and people have problem and put on the pastor or leader his own family, because the pastor have wife, have children who went through all the difficulty too. And the pastor have to take that time management because the job of the church demands so much. And the family also demand time. How he do all these things. High expectation, everyone, people expect not the pastor, his wife, his children need to be good example, perfect, that too much. Loneliness and isolation. They say the loneliest job in America is a pastor job. Even you surrounded by hundreds of people, you feel very lonely because of your position, because people don't expect you to have problem or weakness. You cannot tell people about your problem or get help from anyone. People expect to get help from you. Spiritual dryness, after so many months, many years of working, you come to this point. It's somewhat burned out. Conflict resolution. It's not just about yourself or your family. You will find out that a lot of church family always have problem fighting. And you have to solve the problem all the time. And people always complain, you take side, you get in that family side or not my side. So this is a big problem. Financial strain. Most pastors don't get enough support. And he tries to struggling to survive and to support his own family and to send his kid to school or do anything. Keeping up with changes. Another big thing is society change all the time. And to keep up with changing, things change all the time, and the church a lot of time cannot keep up with all the changes. Like for example, when COVID hit the church don't know how to handle. The church have to close down for several months up to several years. We cannot meet. How we going to meet? How we going to preach? The church have to find out the way to survive, how to function at the church in the COVID situation. And this is just an example. In the future, we might have to face a lot more, how the church survive in all those changes that go so fast. Now we come to another point that how the pastor keep developing himself, keep up with everything. Well, the secret is keep learning. Keep going back to school, get more education, more training, conference. That's the only thing that you get more. And never stop learning new things, because that's the only way to help you keep up with changes and make you feel yourself fresh all the time. You need to refresh all the time too. Okay, I go fast here because I want to give you some time of reflection or discussion. Okay, a few points that we need to discuss about you as a pastor or church leader. You remember a few points that I say that I want you to discuss.
Definitely, John. We are the tent makers. I've been the tent maker since 1980. 88. Yeah.
How it worked? Well,
Yeah, you don't set your mind. You don't depend on, like Mother Church. Just do what the Lord provide, and just go from there. And, just take it, as it comes, you serve God. When you have opportunity to serve Him, you serve Him, because when He gives you that opportunity, just do it. Do it the best you can. That's all. And don't compare yourself to other people, and don't be like other people. Just be yourself. That's it.
For me, I think if God used me, I probably don't expect to get paid. I don't expect to get income. I think it's just probably serving.
yeah, a lot of you, if you have enough saving or self support already, you don't need the church to support you. You have a lot of freedom.
That's one thing. I think if it's who knows? Who knows what the future might bring.
Mm-hmm.
But God will show in time.
Yes.
But I don't expect.
You know that in the past, a lot of people who go to seminary are young people in their 20s. But today, a lot of people who go to seminary are in their 50s, 60s.
There's no future to build anything, Ajahn. It's kind of late in the game.
But a lot of old people who come with a lot of experience, all kind of experience. Yeah, Nathan.
So, Ajahn, what you're saying is like they already pastor. They just want to go back and learn. Okay.
I don't understand Nathan point.
I'm just guessing. What you're saying is like you said. Most of today's students are 50s and up, so that means that they're already pastors. Most of them. They just want to go back and keep learning,
Oh,
right?
no, I mean a lot of first-time pastors are in their 50 and 60. New students at most seminary today are old people who used to do business or some other job. Now they come to seminary in order to be pastor in their 50, in their 60.
So it sounds like financially they are stable.
That means they're financially stable
Yes,
and they know what is important in life.
yeah. They already know what they want or what God called them to do. So I think they are better than all the 20-something who don't know anything.
They're more mature.
Yeah. And another trend is more women. More women. You know that up to 80% of seminary students today are women.
Ajahn,
Yes.
this is what I think why the older folk come to be pastor or go to the seminary, because they think that, I mean, they've been through a lot of things that, so they make a final decision that they want to come and serve because they don't have much time left.
Well, you look at all of us. How old are we?
Because we got no other thing that we like to do more than to serve, so we come.
You know that almost 40 years ago when I started teaching, most students are young. But now you look at all of us, we are not young anymore.
There's a young people that
We're just young in our heart. Yeah, Nathan.
Ajahn, back when you say that at some point then the pastor was counseling the older couple. So if and you said that the result wasn't that great. So would it be better if it happened to us then you feel like, wow, maybe we have to, so we can refer the couple to somewhere else, somebody else that we know maybe?
Yeah, that's a good point. You know that a lot of things we cannot do. We can recommend some other expert to help them. And that already a big service to them. Don't try to do everything yourself that you cannot do. But sometimes it's difficult to accept that I cannot do everything. We have the feeling that we are Superman. We can do everything. After 2 chapters, do you feel that you still want to be a pastor?
That
If God call อาจารย์ depends on
If God not call, and then cannot do it. If God call, and no matter what how hard it is, still have to be
อาจารย์ based on the experience that we counseling about the older than us in my lifetime more successful for the youngster no อาจารย์ for older than me that mean I can testimony maybe at least 3 couple I did successful because we got help.
I think it depends on God.
Yeah.
God is working through. If by our self, I don't think so. We can do it, but God.
Today in our world, we have big problem about different generation. The new generation, they don't listen to old people anymore. Whatever they want to know, they Google.
There's a Google that's more like their God.
The problem with that, Ajahn, the Google, they're biased.
You're right.
They are just like when you try to typing thing, speak to the phone or something like that, they try to avoid the word of God coming up, anything related to the spirit. They try not to, they don't come up easily. And they're misleading people.
You're right. Many states now sue Google that they buy us. They will show just the one that pay them.
Yeah.
And they don't care if it's the truth or not.
So what I understand about that Google, if something is from the Apple software, they're not religion. But if anything go to the Samsung software, they are religion. So that's a 2 thing we can find out.
Samsung software more religious than Apple?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
So I've been using Samsung for a while ago, and then I go online, search for scripture, search for the word, and they is work better than Apple, because Apple, they really don't know about the God thing.
Is that because Samsung belong to Korea?
Maybe. So to answer that Ajahn asking about that the job of the pastor. So for me, I don't know about the pastor, but I like to serve God. In my heart, I've been thinking about how do I serve God better? How do I do, like that's why I want to learning. I want to know more about God. So that is my perspective.
That's good. You know that even you never dream to be a pastor, to learn about everything is still the best thing. Because every Christian supposed to know the words of God and know how to serve God.
I think I'm in the same page as you. Just want to know God, about God, and whatever way that he used, just simply be witness. You'll need to know about God to be a witness.
Yeah, but God will call some of you. And in fact, I believe God will call all of you, but just do different things.
Yeah. Like today, people, tenant call me and talk to me about God and try to, so I can advise them and talk to them about how do we prevent from being misleading by the Antichrist or somebody that is not believe in God but use the Bible as a prophet, as a puppet, as use God as a puppet to benefit to financially.
Yeah, we all need to know as much as we can and depend on God in everything we do.
Yes, so true.
It's not by your ability that you can do the work. It's by the grace of God.
Can this attitude work that we just want to know about God's words and then if God's willing, we cannot get away from being pastor anyway if he want us to be, right?
Yes, you're correct. Nobody can
Like
run
we have
away.
a choice a lot of time.
When God wants you, nobody can run away from God. You look at Jonah.
Look at Paul.
Yep, everyone that God called never can run away from God. You look at Moses.
Yep, that's why I'm saying that it's a lot of time the chosen one is not you cannot get away if that God wanted to.
You're right. But believe me, God called you. It's not different job, different responsibility, different thing, that's all.
Yep, I believe that.
Some of you are going to be missionaries. Some of you are going to be pastors. Some of you are going to be Bible teachers. Some of you are going to be evangelists or something else that's serving God too. Or Sunday school teacher. Or Bible teacher. Yeah, Nathan?
When you have students like this, can you pretty much see who will be what kind of ministry?
Well, you see, as a teacher, I can guess, but I won't tell you.
How does that help, Ajahn?
I let God deal with you himself. Because I'm not God. I cannot make decision for you.
I think it's a lot of time for me, I kind of feel like it's better, like the Bible said that it's better to when you go when somebody invite you to the party, don't sit in an honorable place. Just sit wherever, and that if the guests want to lift you up, to honor you, then they will move you to wherever. It's apply the same way that we learn about God, and if that's what God wants to use us, then He will call us into whatever place that might be.
You're right. Okay, I'm going to shut down in a few minutes, and you wait for 5 minutes at least. Before a break over, you can sign up again. So we're going to have 2 records for 2 different courses. Okay, so don't forget to sign up again for the second class. Okay.
So we just halfway, right?
Yeah, you just halfway.